Chapter 1331. Kong Wanru even said that it was a matter of life and death. She also vaguely said something like grandson, so the Mo family did not dare to delay. Mo Jianzhong and Kong Shui immediately rushed home from the office. Just the word grandson alone was enough to make them rush back, even if they were at the North Pole. Wanru, what grandson are you talking about? It's a matter of life and death. So serious. Kong Shui asked anxiously. Mo Jianzhong also looked over in confusion. He glanced at the watch on his wrist and said, Wanru, if you have something to say, just say it. I have to rush back to the office later. Kong Wanru picked up the cup of tea on the coffee table and drank more than half of it. Then she said, I'm seeing patients in the hospital today. In the morning, a young girl accompanied by her younger sister came to me for a checkup. Then the results came out. She's 3 months pregnant and needs to have an abortion. Kong Shui immediately echoed, Sigh, young people nowadays are so outrageous. It's a living little life. Why did they abort it just like that? Why didn't they take precautions from the beginning? The most abominable thing is that man. He's such a jerk. He impregnated the girl and didn't take responsibility for it. He even asked the girl to come to the hospital herself. Isn't that right? Seeing that the two women were still chatting, Mo Jianzhong coughed softly. Wanru, you called us back to talk about this? Kong Shui also reacted. By the way, Wanru, what did you call us back to talk about? Kong Wanru glanced at her sister and brother-in-law and said directly, Sister, the jerk you just scolded is your Lingtian. As soon as she said that, Kong Shui and Mo Jianzhong looked like they were struck by lightning. Wanru, what did you say? Kong Shui was stunned for a long time before she found her voice again. Then she said with a regretful expression, How could that jerk of mine have such an ability? If he could impregnate the girl outside, she could immediately take the girl as her daughter-in-law. In that case, she would have a house full of children and grandchildren. She would not be as worried as she was now. Mo Jianzhong also frowned and said, Wanru, I don't know about other people, but my Ling Tian definitely wouldn't do it. Otherwise, do you think his mother and I would be so worried? That brat is still chased for Guan Ziyao all these years. He even told us that if he can't marry Guan Ziyao in this life, he will never marry and will never have children with other women. At the mention of this, Mo Jianzhong was filled with anger. Kong Wanru knew that they wouldn't believe her, so she told them the whole story. I heard from the girl's sister that Ling Tian forced himself on the girl after he was drunk. That girl has liked Ling Tian for many years, and after she found out that she was pregnant, she knew that Ling Tian liked that lass from the Guan family. She didn't want to make things difficult for him, so she insisted on having an abortion. It was also because you and your husband prayed to Buddha so many times that the girl coincidentally bumped into me. I spent a lot of effort to persuade her to go back and reconsider. Mo Jianzhong and Kong Shui looked at each other, both dumbfounded because of Kong Wanru's words. Chapter 1332. I know it's unbelievable. I was in a daze for a long time. I was just seeing a patient, but I almost killed my own nephew. What do you think this is? Just call Ling Tian back and ask him what's going on. Have you called Ling Tian yet? Kong Wanru asked urgently. Kong Shui snapped out of her daze and said, Yes, but it didn't get through. I'll call again. As Kong Shui spoke, she immediately called Mo Ling Tian. This time someone finally picked up. At the same time, at a high-class Western restaurant in the capital, Mo Ling Tian took Guan Ziyao's steak and cut it carefully before pushing it to her. Don't be so worried all day. You can't even ride a horse and fall. Are you trying to scare me to death? I'm sorry, Guan Ziyao said apologetically, looking a little bitter. You don't worry. Ting Xiao's words were a little harsh, but it was only because he was angry. The three of us grew up together, and we've known each other for so long. How could we break off our friendship because of a woman? After such a long time, he should have calmed down by now. I'll find a suitable opportunity to ask him out and talk things out. Then, everything will be fine. Mo Ling Tian racked his brains to appease the beauty in front of him. Guan Ziyao's expression softened a little. Ling Tian, thank you for always being with me. Mo Ling Tian smiled like an idiot. You don't have to be so courteous with me. As they spoke, Mo Lingtian's phone rang. It was a call from home. The atmosphere was just right. Mo Lingtian didn't want to pick it up at first, but seeing that the other side had called a few times, he was afraid that it was an emergency. In the end, he picked it up. Hello, Mom? If there's nothing else, call me later. I'm busy right now. Busy, busy, busy. What can you be busy about? Come back here right now. Mrs. Mo's voice was loud enough for Guan Ziyao, who was on the other end of the line, to hear it. Mo Lingtian covered his phone and coughed. Xiao, I'm going to take a call. Okay. Outside the restaurant. Mom, I'm busy chasing after your wife. Is this a big deal? Mo Lingtian asked lazily. However, when Wen's mother heard her son's words, her attitude did not soften. Instead, she became angrier. It's Guan Ziyao again, isn't it? You good-for-nothing brat. The most important thing right now is my grandson. Hurry up and come back, then bring my grandson back. Grandson? Mom, are you hallucinating? Have you gone crazy from missing your grandson? The corner of Mo Lingtian's mouth twitched. Am I crazy? The girl went to the hospital to get an abortion today and happened to bump into your aunt. If it wasn't for your aunt secretly stopping me, I would have lost my grandson by now. If my grandson is gone, then I don't want to live anymore. Wait. Mom, is there anyone else with you? Is my dad here? I feel that your current state is slightly abnormal. Mo Fan's father's voice could be heard from the other end of the line. Rascal, you're the abnormal one. I don't care where you are right now. Get back here immediately. I have something to ask you. Mo Lingtian had no choice but to send Guan Ziyao home first. Then he rushed back to the hospital immediately after hearing the strange tone of the two elders and that he couldn't explain it clearly over the phone. Chapter 1333. I'm back. Mo Lingtian reluctantly pushed open the door and walked into the living room. Seeing that his parents and aunt were all here in the middle of the day, he couldn't help but feel a little speechless. I say, can you guys be a little more calm? Is there another woman who wants me to take responsibility for her because she's pregnant with my child? Mo Lingtian sat on the sofa. I'm sorry, but do you think it's so easy to take my ancestral chromosomes? Dream on. The Mo family had only one son for 3 generations. Everyone in the circle knew that Mo Lingtian's parents were eager to have a son. So many women tried to take advantage of the situation. Unfortunately, they were all proved to be fake. Mo Lingtian was very cautious in this regard, so he was very confident about it. Mo Jinzhong kicked him off the sofa. Bastard, kneel down. This time it was my aunt who found you by accident. She didn't come looking for you. How could you be wronged? Mo Lingtian had long been accustomed to this posture. He was very cooperative and quickly knelt down. Aunt, tell me, what's the woman's name? What's her name? Ask her to come and confront me face to face. I've already violated my professional ethics for you. And now you want me to reveal the patient's privacy? You want to confront her face to face. Dream on. She came directly to me to abort the baby. Which good girl will want to confront an irresponsible scumbag like you? If it weren't for you, I would agree with her to abort the baby and start a new life. Kong Shui immediately grabbed Kong Wanru's hand. No. Wanru, don't be angry with this bastard. Thank you so much. Mo Lingtian pinched his eyebrows. What's going on? Even if I die, you should let me know. I really didn't mess around outside. When Mo Lingtian's parents heard that he didn't mess around outside, they were angry. They glared at him and asked Kong Wanru to tell them what happened. Listening to his aunt's words, Mo Lingtian's originally lazy and indifferent expression gradually became serious. He held his forehead with both hands as if he was thinking hard about something. Linging, did you remember something? Kong Shui asked nervously. Time passed bit by bit. There was dead silence in the living room. No one dared to make a sound. When Mo Lingtian raised his head again, his face was so calm that it seemed as if it would shatter at the slightest touch. However, underneath that calmness was a huge uneasiness and fear. He looked at Kong Shui and slowly asked, "And in that girl's name is it?" Mo Lingtian took a deep breath and continued, "Is there a word that is the same as my name?" Kong Wanru thought for a moment. Then her eyes lit up. and she nodded repeatedly. Yes, yes, yes. Both of your names have the same character. It's that Tian character. Mo Ling Tian. Ning Tianxin in an instant. The calm expression on Mo Ling Tian's face shattered. Mo Jinzhong's face darkened as he said, "What, you remember now? Is the child in that girl's stomach yours?" Mo Ling Tian wiped his face, stood up, and rushed out of the door without saying anything. Ling Tian. Ling Tian. Where are you going? Kong Shui chased after him anxiously, but Mo Ling Tian had already disappeared like a madman. Kong Wanru clicked her tongue and said, "Needless to say, judging from his reaction, it must be." You're pregnant? This sentence was like a heavy blow to Ning Tianxin's head. So Ning Tianxin blurted out reflexively, "How did you know?" Chapter 1335. How did Mo Ling Tian know about this? Just as Ning Tianxin finished her sentence, Mo Ling Tian was completely stunned. His eyes were filled with despair and panic. "So it's true. You're really pregnant. Was it that time when I was drunk?" Looking at Mo Ling Tian's extremely pale face, Ning Tianxin's heart suddenly shrank. Although she knew he would have this reaction, when it really happened, her heart still ached so much that she almost couldn't breathe. Ning Tianxin's body trembled slightly. She didn't know where she got the strength from, but she forced herself to calm down and said, "Ling Tian, what are you talking about? How is that possible? I don't know how you know about this, but the child has nothing to do with you." "Nothing to do with me?" Mo Ling Tian said word by word. "Do you know who the obstetrician and gynecologist who examined you today was? That's my aunt. She heard the conversation between you and your sister with her own ears." This time, Ning Tianxin was really dumbfounded. She would never have thought that there would be such a coincidence. That doctor was Mo Ling Tian's aunt? She carefully recalled the doctor's attitude before and after, and it did seem to be a bit unusual. This such a coincidence. Ning Tianxin bit her lip and continued, "Then your aunt probably misheard. I was arguing with my cousin, and my cousin misunderstood. She thought the child was yours, so she wanted to reason with you." Mo Ling Tian looked at her. "You mean it's not mine?" Ning Tianxin, "No." Mo Ling Tian gritted his teeth. "Fine, if it's not mine, then tell me, whose is it? The time you were with me was your first time." Ning Tianxin was forced to take a step back by Mo Ling Tian. Just as Mo Ling Tian continued to interrogate with a gloomy face, a gloomy voice came from behind Ning Tianxin. "The child in her belly is mine. Do you have a problem with that?" As soon as the voice finished, Mo Ling Tian saw a girl walk out from the shadows. Her face was murderous, and she was holding a huge kitchen knife in her hand. What surprised him the most was this girl was actually, "You little white rabbit." At this moment, Ningxi had already taken off her wig and black-rimmed glasses. So Mo Ling Tian immediately recognized that the person in front of him was actually Lu Tingxiao's little white rabbit. At this moment, the little white rabbit was holding a kitchen knife and staring at him sinisterly. It was really scary. There's a path to heaven, but you refuse to take it. There's no door to hell, but you insist on barging in. Mo Ling Tian. Die. Ningxi raised her kitchen knife and slashed at Mo Ling Tian. Mo Ling Tian ran away immediately. "Damn, what's going on? Ningxi, are you crazy? Why was Ningxi here?" "No, that's not right, Ningxi. Ning Tianxin, both surname Ning, fuck me. Damn it. Could Ning Tianxin's cousin be Ningxi?" Instead of taking the path to heaven, he chose to barge into hell. If he had known that Ningxi was here, he wouldn't have come here even if he was beaten to death. Those who did not know her would think that she was a little white rabbit, but Mo Ling Tian, who had seen her valiance countless times, was about to go crazy at this moment. Now he could only be glad that she was holding a kitchen knife and not a gun. Fuck. Mo Ling Tian. Stop right there if you're a man. Ningxi, calm down. Let's talk about it. Fuck you. Go to hell, bastard. How dare you touch my woman? Fuck. You are serious. I'll give you 3 seconds to say goodbye to your little brother, bastard. After a long time, Mo Ling Tian finally took a deep breath, looked at Ning Tianxin, and said in one breath, Tianxin, it's my fault. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I know it's useless to say sorry 10,000 times. I know as a man, I should take responsibility. I know what I'm going to say is shameless, but I'm sorry. I can't have this child. Chapter 1337. Ning Tianxin chuckled. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to hear it with my own ears. Mo Ling Tian was stunned and couldn't say a word. Ling Tian, you don't need to say anything. I know you don't like me, and I know you like someone else. I was going to abort the baby. It was just an accident. There was no need to make such a big fuss. Or are you worried that I will use the baby to force you to marry me? No, I didn't mean that. If Ning Tianxin had thrown a tantrum with him, if Ning Tianxin had really done that, he might have felt better. But it was because of her that he felt even worse. Mo Ling Tian held his head and said painfully, if it was another woman, I might give her a sum of money. But Tianxin, I really don't know how to face you. Ning Tianxin smiled. I'm grateful that you didn't give me a sum of money. Ling Tian, you can go back. It's really nothing serious. Mo Ling Tian wanted to say that he would accompany her to do the surgery, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. If he said that, it would seem that he was worried about her and forced her to do the surgery, although what he was doing at the moment was such a cruel thing. Go back. I will go to another hospital. Ning Tianxin sighed. Finally, Mo Ling Tian stood up and left silently. Almost at the moment when Mo Ling Tian left, Ning Tianxin's tears fell down. Ning Shi walked out of the room when she heard the noise outside. As soon as she came out, she saw Ning Tianxin crying silently while looking at the door. Her heart ached so much that she almost threw the kitchen knife in her hand at the door. She didn't need to think to know what the result of their discussion was. Sister Tianxin, are you really going to let him go? Xiaoxi, don't say any more. I have decided I want to be alone. Ning Shi didn't know what to say. She hugged her and left, leaving her alone for a while. If it were those scumbags in the past, Ning Shi would have 100 ways to deal with them. But now Sister Tianxin loved this guy so much that she didn't want to make things difficult for him. As an outsider, she couldn't intervene in the affairs of the heart. Moreover, she couldn't even take care of herself. After leaving Ning Tianxin's room, Ning Shi returned to Peach Blossom Dock. He sat in a daze from noon until the sun set in the west. She couldn't remember how long it had been since she last felt this way. The thing that she had deliberately forgotten and buried in the darkness had broken free like a giant beast. It was like a huge mountain that pressed down on her like a shadow, torturing her so much that she didn't even have a moment to breathe. The sky outside the window had completely darkened. Ning Shi got up and went into the house to change into men's clothes. Then, she called Tang Lang. Her tone was relaxed and there was nothing strange about it. Second senior brother, come out and have fun. TSK, don't be reckless. Even if I want to have fun, I won't have fun with you. Ever since you fell in love, going out with you is not interesting at all. On the other end of the phone, Tang Lang's tone was filled with disdain. Come, I'm waiting for you, bar 8. Under Ning, she's coaxing and pestering. Tang Lang finally came. However, this time not long after, Tang Lang regretted coming. It wasn't because Ning Shi was just sitting there like before and didn't even drink much wine. She was bored to death, but because, damn it, this girl is too reckless. Chapter 1338. Hi, second senior brother. After Ning Shi arrived, she greeted him and started drinking without saying a word. By the time Tang Lang reacted, this girl had already downed 3 bottles of whiskey in a row and was on her 4th. Tang Lang's eyes widened. Damn, what's going on? After finishing the 5th bottle, Ning Shi ran straight to the male singer who was singing on the stage and snatched the microphone from his hand. The crowd, which was originally in a heated atmosphere, suddenly booed. Hey, what's going on? Where's the security guard? Get him out of here. Damn, what's going on? I've waited so long for Kevin to come on stage today. Ning Shi kicked the male singer named Kevin off the stage and even kicked the security guard off. Then, she changed the song, What's You Beautiful, for herself. The whole nightclub was suddenly filled with exciting music. Baby, Only you can light up my world, you so beautiful that I'm infatuated with your hair. I can't express how beautiful your smile is. You don't know how beautiful you are. If you can see what I see, you'll know why I'm so crazy about getting you now that I'm looking at you. You're so beautiful that I can't believe it. Gradually, the originally resistant sighs gradually turned into screams, and finally into screams that almost broke the roof. Ah, so handsome, so handsome. Who's that guy? I don't know, but why do I feel like he looks so much like my brother She? How could brother She come here to sing? But damn, he really looks like him. Oh my heart. I'm dying, I'm dying. Hurry up and call second brother and third brother over. More and more people came to the bar. In the end, there was almost no place to stand. Many people stood on the tables, and many people rushed in from outside. Tang Lang, who was almost squeezed into a pie, was dumbfounded. Fuck, is this girl crazy? Even if she wasn't afraid of Lu Tingxiao, wasn't she afraid of being recognized? The more Tang Lang thought about it, the more confused he became. What was going on? Could it be that they broke up? Otherwise, he really couldn't think of any reason for this last to be so unrestrained tonight, regardless of everything else. Baby, only you can light up my world. You are so beautiful that I am swooning. I can't describe how beautiful your smile is. No matter how Tang Lang signaled to Ningxi with his eyes, Ningxi did not respond at all. His voice was completely drowned out by the deafening music and screams on the stage. Ningxi was flirting with them with all her might, which almost drove the girls crazy. Even the men went crazy. Tang Lang couldn't remember how long it had been since he last saw Ningxi in such a state. 5 years ago, when he had just met her, it was actually very common. Seeing that the situation was getting more and more out of control, and that even the reporters had started to rush over, Tang Lang had no choice but to sneak past the layers of the crowd with agility. He squeezed his way to the innermost layer and leaped up onto the stage. After that, he pulled Ningxi up and ran towards the back door. Fuck. Fortunately, I have good skills. Dun spent a lot of effort and finally took Ningxi out of the bar. He looked at the man in front of him with a dark face and shouted, "Damn it. Can't you at least give me a warning before you go crazy?" Chapter 1339. Fuck. Can't you at least give me a warning before you go crazy? Hearing Tang Lang's angry roar, Ningxi dug her ears and nodded drunkenly. Oh, okay, let's go. What are you looking at? Seeing that Ningxi was still not leaving, Tang Lang followed Ningxi's gaze and saw a group of men on motorcycles surrounding a pretty little girl. Beauty, come out for a ride with me. I'm not going. My friend is waiting for me inside. Fuck, are you looking at that male singer again? What's there to look at? Come with me. I promise you'll have a good time tonight. Let go. Let go. My little ancestor. I'll call the bar security to deal with it later. Don't cause trouble, okay? It took so much effort to get you out. If you don't leave, the reporters will catch up. Tang Lang was really worried. Ningxi 3-2? Huh? What 3-2? What nonsense? Tang Lang didn't even understand what she was saying. 1. As soon as Ningxi said 1, she instantly ran to the side of a man on a motorbike not far away, kicked him off, and rode away. Tang Lang. Fuck. 3-2-1 was a countdown to give him a warning and prepare for him? I really have to thank you, The man who was kicked off by Ning, she didn't know that his bike was suddenly stolen. He was instantly furious. Fuck. Where did this brat come from? He actually dared to steal my bike. Brothers chase. Chase. Ningxi was really good at stirring up trouble. There were about a dozen people in the group of robbers, and each of them looked fierce. They were all riding expensive heavy-duty motorcycles. Immediately, they chased after Ningxi aggressively with a buzzing sound. Tang Lang had no choice but to continue to clean up the mess. He stole one of the people's bikes and quickly chased after the crazy Ningxi, who asked him to be paid a bodyguard salary. This was not a job a human could do. Soon, the group of people disappeared, leaving only the girl who was held back by the group of bikers standing there with a sluggish expression. Was she seeing things? Why did that person look so much like Brother Shi? Tang Lang's keen intuition had helped him avoid danger many times. He knew that he couldn't handle Ningxi by himself tonight. Therefore, while riding his bike, he kept a close eye on Ningxi, who was driving faster and faster, and called Lu Tingxiao urgently. Hello. Boss, your Ningxi is crazy. That little devil. It was like a wild dog that had escaped its leash. If you don't pull the rope, I won't be able to hold it anymore. Where? On the other end of the phone, Lu Tingxiao didn't say much and asked in a cold voice. Yes, I only know where I am in this second, but I don't know where I will be in the next second. I'm moving at high speed. It's roughly on the road from Wyvern Bay to Death Valley, which is frequented by bikers. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm about to lose him. Uncle, hurry over here. Tang Lang hurriedly hung up the phone and hurriedly chased after the shadow in front of him that was getting smaller and smaller. When Tang Lang finally caught up to Ningxi and the group of people in front of him, the dozen or so fiendish hooligans had all been beaten to the ground by Ningxi. After beating him up, he didn't even let him go. Ningxi squatted in front of those people. I'll ask you a question. If you answer it correctly, you can leave. Chapter 1340. What question? I'll answer it. I'll answer it. The hooligans who were beaten up saw that Ningxi wasn't someone to be trifled with, and their attitude instantly changed. Ningxi pointed at a blonde. Do you have a girlfriend? No. The blonde shook his head blankly. Ningxi immediately gave him a beating. You don't even have a girlfriend. The blonde. Ningxi pointed at a redhead again. What about you? Do you have a girlfriend? Yes. I do. The redhead nodded repeatedly. Ningxi was instantly energized. She squatted in front of the redhead and asked, Then let me ask you, if your girlfriend is hiding something from you, will you break up with her? The redhead thought for a moment. Well, I think the most important thing for two people to be together is sincerity. If my girlfriend is hiding something from me, I'll probably break up with her. The moment he said that, he was beaten up violently. The redhead. Who else has a girlfriend? Raise your hands. Ningxi roared angrily. No one dared to raise their hands anymore. They all shrunk back and didn't dare to speak. Ningxi said, Beat up all those who can't get it up. Instantly, all their hands were raised again. Ningxi pointed at a baldy. What about you? If something happened to your girlfriend that you might not be able to accept, even though she gave you a heads up from the start, even though you said you didn't care about her past at the start, when you really know what it is, will you break up with her? The baldy didn't understand what Ningxi was saying at all, but because of his previous experience, he immediately said, Of course not. If a man breaks up because of such a small matter, can he still be a man? In the end, the moment he said that, he was beaten up again. Who are you calling not a man? The baldy. Just like that, almost all the hooligans were inexplicably beaten up for all kinds of strange reasons. They finally knew that this person didn't want to ask questions at all. She just wanted to beat them up. Brother, which path are you on? What do you want? Can you give me a quick answer? The baldy was already on the verge of crying. Not far away, Tang Lang had just arrived and saw this scene. He couldn't stand it anymore. Stinking brat, that's enough. Let them go. All of them are so pitiful. Everyone instantly nodded repeatedly, and they looked at Tang Lang with an extremely grateful expression, as if they were begging for help. Then, Tang Lang was beaten up. Seeing Ningxi beat up her own people, everyone was speechless. What the fuck? Where did this devil come from? Fuck me. Have you really gone crazy? Tang Lang immediately started fighting with Ningxi. During this period of time, under his guidance, Ningxi's skills had improved a lot, and the two of them exchanged more than 10 moves in an instant. He didn't know where that last got her strength from. After drinking so much wine and being tossed around for most of the night, she was still so energetic. She could practically go up the mountain to fight a tiger or dive into the sea to draw a dragon. Tang Lang had no choice and could only accompany her in exchanging blows. What exactly had this lass encountered? A few hooligans saw the situation and wanted to take advantage of the chaos to slip away, but they were undoubtedly beaten up again. The scene was a mess. Just at this moment, a low-profile, luxurious black Maybach quietly stopped not far ahead. 2 rows of car lights lit up the road ahead, and they saw a young man stepping on the back of a baldy. On the ground, there were 5 burly hooligans with colorful hair wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves, begging the young man to let them go. The scene was very miserable. Chapter 1341. The car door opened, and a man in a black suit with a frosty expression stepped out. He walked straight towards the chaos not far away. Tang Lang saw Lu Tingxiao from the corner of his eyes and was so happy that he cried, "Damn, my boss, you're finally here." Ningxi had obviously also noticed Lu Tingxiao. A certain someone who was about to sprout wings and fly into the sky stopped what he was doing and looked ahead in a daze. It was accompanied by the familiar sound of steady footsteps. The man walked towards her step by step against the light. It was as if time and space had frozen. The girl stood there motionlessly, staring blankly at the figure walking toward her until he was right in front of her. The two of them stood facing each other. The girl stared straight at the man in front of her and then smashed her head on the man's chest. The wig on her head was rubbed off, revealing a head of long black hair. The next second, the girl's weak voice came from the man's chest. "It hurts." The man's expression changed instantly. "Where are you hurt?" The girl raised a finger with a trembling and aggrieved expression. There was a red blood stain about the size of a needle tip on her finger. "My hand hurts." The hooligans who were beaten black and blue all over. "Big brother." "No." "Big sister." "Are you fucking kidding me?" Lu Tingxiao frowned as he held the girl's finger and glanced at it. "Get in the car. I'll help you deal with it." "What's there to deal with?" "It's a small wound that looks like a needle prick. That blood stain might not even be hers, but ours." "Big brother, look at us. Look at how we've been beaten up." What made them even more depressed was that the big devil was actually a woman. There were so many of them, but they were actually beaten up to this extent by a woman. Ningxi didn't move. Instead, she sniffled pitifully and then opened her arms. "My leg hurts." Lu Tingxiao immediately bent over and carefully carried the girl by the waist. Then, he placed her in the car like a precious baby. Tang Lang, who was behind him, said, Hey, Lu, boss, is there something wrong? I asked you to come here so that you can teach her a good lesson. Is this how you teach a child?" "Huh?" What answered him was the sound of a car door slamming shut. Then, the door of the driver's seat opened. Lu Tingxiao's assistant, Cheng Feng, got out of the car and walked straight to the group of hooligans. He quickly wrote them a check. "You know what to do." The bald leader took a look at the check, and his eyes widened. "Fuck. 1 million. This beating was worth it." I know. Don't worry." Baldy chimed in. Not long after, the police car that was chasing them just now also caught up with them. The group of hooligans took the money, so naturally, they were very tactful. They didn't mention anything about Ningxi and said it was their own fault. Tang Lang. He didn't want to say anything else. Well, after causing such a mess, not only did he not say a word of reprimand, he even helped to clean up the mess. Very good. This is very Lu Tingxiao. He finally understood why this lass was so lawless. At the same time, he finally knew that the reason why Ningxi restrained herself around Lu Tingxiao was that she was willing to change for him, not because Lu Tingxiao restricted her to do anything. On the contrary, when she was by Lu Tingxiao's side, she could always be herself. Tang Lang looked at the vast night sky not far away and shook his head with a sigh. "Look at this, the one with the surname Yun. Your loss is really not unjust at all." Chapter 1342. Platinum Palace. Ningxi was still energetic when she was outside, but after being brought back by Lu Tingxiao, all her strength was drained, and she did not want to move a finger. Lu Tingxiao carried the girl out of the car and carried her upstairs. He carefully placed her on the bed and helped her take off her coat. The first thing he did was to check if there were any injuries on her body. Fortunately, she was obedient this time. No matter how badly the others were beaten up, she did not have a single injury on her body. Her smooth and fair fingers were also as good as new. The blood on her fingertips just now was probably not her blood. Therefore, Lu Tingxiao did not even have the slightest bit of vitality. Well, she was very obedient. Ningxi withdrew her fingers that were being checked by the man and held the man's face. She hummed indistinctly, "Baby, only you can illuminate my world. You're so beautiful that I'm head over heels for you." After saying that, she leaned over to touch the man's thin and seductive lips Lu Tingxiao tilted his head slightly and looked serious. Tell me what's going on? Although she was impatient and impulsive, she was very principled. She knew what not to do, especially when it came to her work. If it had not been for what had happened, she would not have done what she did tonight unless she couldn't restrain herself anymore. And what could have caused her to lose control to this extent? She buried her head in the man's arms. She did not know if it was because she missed his arms or because she wanted to avoid his eyes. I'm in a bad mood. Why are you in a bad mood? Because of Mo Lingtian. Us. How did Mo Lingtian get involved? He bullied my sister and impregnated her. He's irresponsible. Ning Tianxin? Yes. Ningxi's head was getting heavier and heavier, and she nodded slowly. Brother, at this time, the door was pushed open with a bang. Lu Jingli stood at the door and was stunned when he saw the two people inside. Ah, you caught little Cici. So fast. In Lu Tingxiao's arms, the girl had closed her eyes and fallen asleep because she was too tired. Lu Tingxiao motioned for Lu Jingli to be quiet. After helping the girl lie down, he closed the door and walked out. In the living room downstairs. Damn, brother, what happened to little Cici tonight? Look at what she's done in just one night. It's like a storm. Lu Jingli immediately opened a video and showed it to Lu Tingxiao. In the video, Ningxi kicked the male singer out of the bar and went to sing. After fast-forwarding, there were also blurred images of Ningxi stealing the car and racing by passers-by. These videos were spread all over the internet within a few hours, but now they were all deleted by Lu Tingxiao's people. Lin Zhizhi also quickly responded, stating that the person tonight was not Ning. Golden Era's PR department was busy the whole night, and the internet was in a frenzy. Chapter 1343. Deal with these things before she wakes up tomorrow morning. Lu Jingli said in a tone, as if he didn't want his wife to be upset when she woke up. Got it. Lu Jingli accepted his fate. Then Lu Jingli thought of something, and his eyes lit up. Oh, by the way, brother, do you know? In addition to Cici, there is a super big gossip tonight. Your childhood friend Mo Lingtian has been secretly in love with Guan Ziao. Hasn't he? Well, he's in love with her. Lu Tingxiao was about to go upstairs to accompany his wife, but when he heard Mo Lingtian, he stopped and frowned. Lu Jingli continued, that guy has been keeping his chastity for Guan Ziao, but this time he accidentally got a girl pregnant. Tonight, the Mo family is forcing him to get married because of the pregnancy. Of course, Mo Lingtian refused and said that he would not marry anyone but Guan Ziao, which made the whole Mo family bloody. Tut, tut, tut. Although your love for Guan Ziao is invincible, you can't deny it, can you? What about the innocent girl who got pregnant? I don't know which girl is so unlucky. Combined with Lu Jingli's words, Lu Tingxiao basically understood what Ningxi was talking about. That girl must be Ningxi's cousin, Ning Tianxin. Ningxi said she was in a bad mood. Just because of this? After sharing the gossip, Lu Jingli went to work refreshed. Lu Tingxiao went upstairs to Ningxi's room with a gloomy face. As soon as he opened the door, he was stunned. The place that belonged to him had been occupied by a white and soft bun. The little fellow was clinging to Ningxi's arms and sleeping soundly. He didn't know when it came in. Hearing the footsteps at the door, the little fellow opened his eyes warily and looked at Papa, who was walking towards the bed. Lu Tingxiao sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the girl who was holding the little bun tightly and sleeping soundly. He gently touched the girl's hair and then rubbed his son's little head. Stay with your mother. The little bun puffed up his cheeks and went back into Mama's arms with an expression that said, Do I need you to tell me? After a while, the little bun blinked and a trace of melancholy appeared on his soft and tender face. He looked up at Lu Tingxiao and said, Is Mom unhappy? Children were the most sensitive. Even though Ningxi was asleep, she seemed to notice that her mother was in a bad mood. Lu Tingxiao nodded. Yes, Mom is in a bad mood. The little bun immediately asked with a serious and nervous face. Why? Lu Tingxiao said, Because I haven't done well enough. Lu Tingxiao said, Xiaobao. Xiaobao wants to be better. That way Mama won't be unhappy, Xiaobao. Lu Tingxiao looked at his son, and his eyes suddenly became very serious. You have to remember, although Ningxi is not your real mother, since you call her mom, she will always be your mother and the only one. From now on, no matter what happens, this will never change. Do you understand? Hearing this, little Baozi yawned lazily and curled his lips with an unconcerned expression. He lay back in his mama's arms and mumbled indistinctly. It's Xiao Bao's biological mama, his domineering tone of, it doesn't matter even if it isn't. If this young master says so, then so be it, was very much like his father's style. Lu Tingxiao's lips curled up slightly, and he planted a kiss on their foreheads. Good night. Chapter 1344. The sun rose slowly, and in the blink of an eye, it was already the next morning. Today seemed to be destined to be an extraordinary day. Flipping through the newspaper, almost every article was big news. Qian Kaidong, the director of the Imperial Public Security Bureau, was arrested for corruption and bribery. The Qian Group's capital chain is broken, and Qian Kaijun may go bankrupt. China's strongest dark horse, Elon Venture Capital, sweeps through the business storm, and the mysterious investor enters the Forbes list, other than the social section and the financial section. The most popular section was the entertainment section. Director Gui Qixing's super IP fantasy drama Ninth Heaven is about to start shooting, and the two female leads are going to compete against each other. The first socialite in the entertainment circle, Ning Shuo, is rumored to be an adopted daughter from the countryside. The national husband, Ning Shi, appears in the number 8 bar of the capital. Because of the lingering popularity of Dreamseeker, Ning Shi's gossip was very popular, which was comparable to Ning Shuo's gossip. Even though Lu Jingli had been working for a whole night, she was still the focus of everyone's attention this morning. Fortunately, the public opinion had been reversed. On the morning entertainment television, a reporter was interviewing a pretty girl. Reporter: Miss Li, are you the girl who saw Ning Shi kicking people and robbing cars in the video last night? The girl what? Can you reporters not spout nonsense? The video was so blurry. How did you recognize that it was my brother Shi? I was so close to him at that time, so I knew that he didn't look like my brother Shi at all. Only his side profile was slightly similar. He wasn't even 1,000th as handsome as my brother Shi. Okay? Even a single strand of my brother Shi's beauty. The reporter said, Okay. Miss, we're clear now. The girl: what do you know? Do you hear me out? Just a single strand of my brother's beauty can instantly kill that person. I know that my brother Shi is very popular now, but some people can't do anything to discredit her, right? Brother Shi is a public figure, and now is the most important period of his rise. How could he appear alone on such an occasion last night? In the end, a good interview turned into a one-sided confession speech by Ning Shi's fangirl. Coincidentally, some of the other interviewees who were present at the time had similar statements as this girl. Some of them were arranged by Lu Jingli, but many of them said so on their own accord. Because many of these people were Ning Shi's fans, subconsciously out of the mentality of protecting their idol, they all said that the person last night could not be Ning Shi. Imperceptibly, the loyalty of Ning Shi's fans began to increase. In short, after one night, the storm last night had been summed up as a mistake. While Shengshi Entertainment was busy for the whole night, Starlight Entertainment was also busy because of Ning Shuo's sudden rumor. For Ning Shuo, who had always been a fair, rich and beautiful, and a winner in life, her entire image would suffer a devastating blow if she lost her title as a daughter of a rich family. Let alone starshine, the most anxious party was the Ning family. The Ning family held a press conference that night. Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu attended together. They firmly denied the rumor and said that they would pursue the legal responsibility of the rumor-mongers. At the same time, in order to divert everyone's attention, the Ning family announced at the end of the press conference that they would be announcing a major announcement soon. Chapter 1345. Everyone guessed that it was about the marriage between the Ning family and the Su family. Ning Shula and Su Yin were finally going to get married? If the Su family and the Ning family were going to unite by marriage, the rumor that Ning Shula was an adopted daughter would be broken. Otherwise, how could the Su family be willing to let their heir, Su Yin, marry an adopted daughter from the countryside? The sun rose slowly, and the sky outside the window was getting brighter and brighter in the study of the Ning family's old mansion. Ning Yaohua didn't sleep all night. There was a knock on the door, and Zhuang Lingyu came in with a bowl of soup. Yaohua, eat something. Ning Yaohua looked at his wife and sighed. Lingyu, what do you think if I give 15% of my shares to Xuelua? Zhuang Lingyu's eyes lit up. Yaohua, have you finally thought it through? Ning Yaohua didn't speak. He didn't need to think about it. This was the only way for him now. Originally, he had planned everything well. If he got the 10% shares from Ning Shi, he would be the largest shareholder of Ning's International and have the final say in the company. With the Su family as his backer, Ning Yaobang and Ning Qiutong were simply not worthy of his attention. If Ning Shi had put in a good word for him at the cocktail party that night, he would have been able to get an investment of 1 billion yuan. But now, everything was ruined. Ning Shi, that damn girl, was she really born to be his nemesis? Since she came back to China, he had been unlucky. Seeing him like this, Zhuang Lingyu hurriedly said, "There's nothing to think about. As long as you give the shares to Xuelua, everything will be solved. Don't you trust Xuelua? Yaohua, hurry up and make a decision. I saw Xuelua packing her luggage secretly last night. Are you going to regret it after Xuelua leaves?" After a long silence, Ning Yaohua finally said, "Call Xuelua here." "Okay, I'll go now." Zhuang Lingyu was afraid that something would happen again, so she quickly called Ning Xuelua into the study. Ning Xuelua looked at Ning Yaohua's tired face and lowered her head. She blamed herself. "Dad, you didn't sleep last night? I'm sorry. I caused you trouble." Zhuang Lingyu's heart ached as she looked at her daughter, whose face was unusually haggard. "How could it be your fault? All of this was caused by that lass. It should be said that it is fortunate that I still have you. Otherwise, your father and I would really not know what to do." Ning Yaohua looked at his daughter in front of him and let out a long sigh. "Xuelua, this time Daddy has placed everything on you. You must work hard for me. Understand?" After Ning Yaohua finished speaking, he took out an equity transfer certificate from the drawer and said, "Xueluo, please sign it. After you sign it, the 15% shares of Ning's International will be yours." Hearing that, Ning Xueluo stared at the transfer of shares, forcefully suppressing the light in her eyes, and said with a surprised expression, "Dad, what are you doing?" Zhuang Lingyu patted her shoulder. "Xueluo, sign it." Ning Xueluo's face darkened. "I won't sign it." "Dad, Mom, what kind of person do you think I am?" Ning Xueluo sounded like she was about to cry. "I don't care what other people think of me, but I don't want you to think that I'm a despicable person who returns kindness with enmity and has ulterior motives. Father, please take it back. I will never take anything from the Ning family." Chapter 1346. Ning Yaohua dispelled the last bit of worry in his heart when he saw how heartbroken the girl was. He advised her earnestly, "Xuelu, how can I not know you? You have to accept the shares because you're the only one who can help me now. Only if you accept the shares can the Su family's anger be appeased, and you and Su Yin can be together. Right now, your aunt has a total of 20% of the shares, 5% more than me. Even your second uncle and Tianxin have a total of 16%. Right now, I really need the Su family support. Do you understand?" Zhuang Lingyu patted Ning Xuelua's hand. "Xuelua, just take it as helping your father. You said it yourself. No matter what others think, you just need to know that your father and I will never think that way about you. Just accept the shares." "But," Ning Xuelua was still hesitant. Zhuang Lingyu had no choice but to use her trump card. "No buts. Are you really willing to leave Su Yan behind? It's the same as giving the shares to us. Your father and I are counting on you to take care of us in the future. Don't do anything stupid. You're only allowed to stay by our side. You're not allowed to go anywhere." Ning Xuelua's tears fell as she choked with sobs. "Dad, Mom, thank you. I won't let you down. I'll definitely help you protect the Ning family." Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu nodded in relief. "Good girl." Ning Xuelua raised her chin slightly in the dark, revealing a smug and mocking smile. Ning Shi, do you think you can destroy me just because you're with Ning Xiaodong? This time, it's all thanks to you that Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu finally spat out their shares. This was just the first step soon. The entire Ning family would belong to her. Platinum Palace. Ning Shi woke up with a start in the morning. She had a dream. She dreamed that she was drunk, singing and flirting with girls in a bar, racing and fighting with a ding sound. The headline of a piece of gossip news popped up on his phone. The headline read, "The nation's husband Ning, she sings live at the number 8 bar in the capital." Last night's memory emerged in her mind bit by bit. Ning Shi suddenly screamed and covered her face. Oh, it's over. Ning Shi quickly browsed through Weibo and major portals, and then found that the impact of this matter on the internet was not as serious as she had imagined. At present, most of the comments were similar to the man who looked like the nation's husband, Ning Shi, appeared in the number 8 bar. It was obvious that Lu Tingxiao and Lu Jingli were behind this. Otherwise, it would have exploded this morning. You're awake. At this time, the man's deep and comfortable voice that sounded like a cool breeze drifted into her ears. Ning Shi immediately raised her head, looking at the person with teary eyes. Lord Boss. Lu Tingxiao was holding a bowl of hangover soup in his hand. It's okay. Last night's incident has been suppressed. Drink this. Ning Shi obediently took it over and sipped it while peeking at Lu Tingxiao. Her heart was pounding. Why don't you scold me? Lu Tingxiao, you're not hurt. Why would I scold you? Ning Shi, why did he sound as long as she wasn't hurt, it would be fine even if she stabbed a hole in the sky? Don't do something so tempting so early in the morning, okay? Chapter 1347. Don't always treat me so well, okay? The girl's eyes quickly dimmed, like a glass bead that had lost its luster after shattering. Before the shattered emotions could bloom, they were quickly extinguished by Ning Shi and firmly restrained into the bottom of her eyes. Ning Shi wrapped her arms around the man's neck and rubbed her head against his shoulder. Lu Tingxiao loved the girl's affectionate actions. Her soft hair tickled his shoulder, making his heart soften. He wanted to hold the whole world in front of her. Ning Shi sighed softly in his ear. Sigh, why do I like you so much? When I decided to be with you, I thought I liked you enough. After all, before that, she had never thought that she would be with anyone in this life. If she hadn't liked him so much, she wouldn't have taken that step. But now I know that my liking back then was just the tip of the iceberg, a drop in the ocean. At that time, when she took the initiative to confess to the man in front of her and chose to be with him. In fact, there was still a trace of self-preservation in the depths of her heart. She thought that even if something unpredictable happened, she could immediately withdraw. But now, she realized that although she hadn't known this person for long, he had completely integrated into her bones and blood. If she wanted to leave, it would be like scraping her bones and drawing her blood. Listening to the girl's passionate confession, Lu Tingxiao's heart warmed, but he couldn't help but feel uneasy. Ning Shi hugged the man gently. After a long while, she took a deep breath and said, Lu Tingxiao, we haven't gone on a date for a long time. When are you free? Let's go out and have fun. Just the two of us. I'm free anytime. As long as I'm with you. Okay. Then I'll let you know the time after I confirm the schedule with Sister Gigi. When the time comes, I have something to tell you. Ning Shi tried to sound normal. Okay. A dark glint flashed across Lu Tingxiao's eyes. The reason why Ning Shi's emotions were so abnormal was probably because of that matter. After saying that, Ning Shi left the man's warm embrace, lifted the blanket, and got up. I accidentally lost myself to beauty again. I have to report to the crew today. I'm running out of time. Ning Shi looked at the time, hurriedly put on makeup and changed clothes, kissed Lu Tingxiao several times, and then quickly rushed to the set. As soon as he arrived at the entrance, he saw that Xiao Tao was already waiting there. Darling, tell me, Big Sister Gigi isn't angry with me, right? Ning Shi asked nervously as soon as she saw Xiao Tao. Xiao Tao said worriedly, I'm not angry. I'm just worried about you. Last night, we couldn't get in touch with you. We were so worried. Fortunately, Second young master turned the tide and suppressed everything. Brother Shi, have you solved the problem at home? If second young master hadn't told us, I would have thought that person was you. Family matters? Ningxi paused, thinking that Lu Jingli must have made up an excuse for her, so she nodded and said, almost. Because it was Ningxi's private matter, Xiao Tao didn't ask much. She just looked at Ningxi with sparkling eyes and gossiped. Brother Shi, are you really just friends with second young master? Why do I feel that second young master treats you so special? The corner of Ningxi's mouth twitched. Haha, of course they weren't just friends. Chapter 1348. Those who came to the audition today were basically all the main leads. Currently, Ningxi knew that the main leads were Meng Shi. The male lead was confirmed to be Jiang Mai, and the third female lead was Li Yiqing from Shengshi Entertainment. Ningxi had just walked to the door of the makeup room when she heard a sharp reprimand. Hey, what's wrong with you? You're so clumsy. You can't even do such a small thing. Are you trying to strangle our Shi to death? Do you know how delicate our Shi's skin is? Ningxi pushed the door open to see Meng Shi, sitting in front of the makeup mirror like a queen. Her female assistant was angrily reprimanding a girl, her sharp fingernails almost stabbing into the girl's face. Ningxi glanced over and realized that the girl was Li Yiqing from Shengshi Entertainment. The girl's head was lowered, her eyes red as if she was about to cry, but she didn't dare to say anything. Without a word, Ningxi grabbed the female assistant's finger that was stabbing Li Yiqing's face. The female assistant let out a cry like a pig being slaughtered. She clutched her finger that was almost broken and glared at Ningxi. You. Ningxi threw the man away and sat down on a chair at the side. She glanced at him coldly. When the female assistant saw that it was Ningxi, she immediately restrained herself and rolled back to Meng Shi's side. She looked like she was bullying the weak and afraid of the strong, but didn't dare to say anything. When Li Yiqing saw Ningxi, her face was full of surprise. She didn't expect Ningxi to help her. Then she automatically hid behind her, looking worried. Rumor had it that Meng Shi not only had a strong backing, but she also had a gangster background. Artists who had offended her all ended up badly, so no one dared to mess with her. Everyone knew that the entertainment industry was the fastest way to launder money. This orange sky media that appeared out of nowhere was definitely a problem. Naturally, they were afraid of Meng Shi. However, Ningxi was now the #1 sister of Shengshi Entertainment. On the surface, she had the backing of Lu Group, so even Meng Shi had to be careful. Since when did an artist from Shengshi Entertainment become your nanny? Ningxi said coldly. The female assistant muttered in a low voice. Isn't it just asking her to massage a little? She's lucky to be able to give us a poetic massage. She's so shameless. Huh? What did you say? I don't think I heard you clearly. Ningxi dragged out her voice as she spoke word by word. Her tone was extremely cold, causing one's hair to stand on end. The female assistant shrank behind Meng Shi. Her face was deathly pale, and she subconsciously didn't dare to speak. Meng Shi, who had been leisurely fiddling with her nails, glanced at Ningxi and said with a faint smile, Miss Ning is so impressive. Ningxi smiled back. Miss Ningxi. At that moment, the director's assistant knocked on the door and came in to ask Meng Shi to come over for the audition. Only then did the tension dissipate. Li Yiqing heaved a heavy sigh of relief. Twisting her fingers, she blushed and looked at Ningxi gratefully. Sister Shi, thank you. In the past, when Su Yimo was around, it was already good enough that she didn't suppress female artists with potential like them, let alone help them. Therefore, after Ningxi took over, they were worried that there would be a second Su Yimo in Shengshi Entertainment. But she didn't expect Ningxi to protect them. Li Yiqing was so touched that she didn't know what to do. Even though Ningxi was cross-dressing, she still felt that the person in front of her was so handsome. Chapter 1349. We're from the same company. You're welcome, Ningxi said casually. Ningxi's amiable attitude made Li Yiqing feel even more grateful. She thought for a while and said, Sister Shi, my grandfather is an old Chinese medicine doctor, and he is good at massage. I learned a little from him when I was a child, and I'm good at it. Can I massage your shoulders? Ning Shi smiled. It's okay. Go ahead with your work. Don't delay your work. Li Yiqing shook her head. No, I've just finished the audition. Sister Shi, let me massage your shoulders to thank you for helping me just now. Otherwise, I'll feel sorry for you. Seeing the enthusiasm on the little girl's face, Ning Shi couldn't bear to refuse. So she said, okay, thank you. Okay. Li Yiqing immediately stood behind Ning Shi happily. She put her fair hands on Ning Shi's shoulders and started to massage skillfully. The little lass looked soft and weak, but she had quite a bit of strength. She wasn't soft at all, and the strength she exerted was just right. It was indeed very comfortable. Li Yiqing frowned as she massaged Ning Shi's shoulders. Sister Shi, have you been under a lot of pressure recently? The muscles on your shoulders are so stiff. Ning Shi leaned on the dresser and murmured. A little. Xiao Tao watched Li Yiqing's movements intently. You're good at this. I'll learn from you, so that I can massage brother Shi's shoulders in the future. Li Yiqing immediately said, sure, I'll teach you. When Jiang Mai knocked on the door and came in, he saw a girl being hugged by two girls and massaging her shoulders and legs. He was speechless. You really know how to enjoy yourself, Senior Jiang. When Li Yiqing saw Jiang Mai, she immediately greeted him and explained, Sister, she just helped me out of trouble, so I massaged her shoulders to thank her. Okay, go out. I have something to tell her. Jiang Mai waved them away. Li Yiqing and Xiao Tao both knew that Jiang Mai was a good friend of Ning Shi, so they immediately ran away. Seeing Jiang Mai drive the two girls away, Ning Shi raised her head discontentedly. What? Jiang Mai looked at her quietly. You're so carefree. You're about to die, but you're still playing around. What do you mean by imminent death? Can't you say something nice so early in the morning? Ning Shi said snappily. Do you know who is the second male lead of this movie? Jiang Mai dragged his voice and asked. It's none of my business who the second male lead is. Jiang Mai raised his eyebrows. Are you sure? The second male lead is Mo Chinxiu. Ning Shi immediately got up. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm joking with you? He was already here, just outside. Jiang Mai sat on a chair, shaking his legs. Damn, no way. Ning Shi was speechless. As the saying goes, two tigers cannot live on the same mountain. Based on Mo Chinxiu and Jiang Mai's status, as long as they acted in a TV series, they would definitely be the male leads, unless it was just a friendly appearance. There would never be a situation where one party was the male lead and the other was the secondary male lead. Tut, tut, tut. In order to chase you down for thousands of miles, that guy was willing to be the secondary male lead. Ning Xiaoxi, you're really awesome. Jiang Mai exclaimed, as if he was watching a good show. Ning Shi's face darkened. She rubbed her hair and cursed in a low voice. Fuck, I'm already annoyed enough. Chapter 1350. Why couldn't he just let her calm down? Looking at Ning Shi's anxious look, Jiang Mai squinted at her and said, You were in the number 8 bar last night, weren't you? Ning Shi tilted her head and didn't speak, but her expression gave him the answer. Jiang Mai snorted. I knew it was you. Then he looked at her worriedly. What happened to you? If it hadn't been for the PR, this incident would have ruined all the image and popularity she had worked so hard to build. Ning Shi, as a model worker, wouldn't have made such a mistake. Nothing. Ning Shi obviously didn't want to talk about this topic. Jiang Mai rolled his eyes at her. Why are you hiding it from me? I even came here to share your troubles. What a waste of my kindness. Ning Shi glanced at Jiang Mai. Not everything can be shared. There are some things I just want to take to my grave. Jiang Mai's mouth twitched. Speak human language. Ning Shi said, I won't tell you. Bite me. Jiang Mai. A moment later, Ning Shi fixed her makeup and walked to the audition site. In the studio, Ming Shi was taking photos. Holding a silver sword, wearing clothes whiter than snow, black hair flowing down like a waterfall, and an emotionless expression on her face, she vividly portrayed the elegant temperament of the female lead in the play, as well as her demeanor of severing her emotions and desires. The cameraman, director, and onlookers all praised her. Meng Shi is amazing. After the makeup was set, it was even more suitable than we had imagined. She's like a goddess from the ninth heaven. She's exactly the same as Lung Aoxue in the novel. The fans of the novel must be speechless now. Ningxi crossed her arms over her chest and stood by the side watching quietly. Her eyes flashed with a trace of heat and excitement that she had met her match. In all fairness, Meng Shi's acting skills were indeed very good. Lung Ao Shue's expressionless character seemed simple, but in fact, it was very difficult to act. If one was not careful, one would appear to have facial paralysis. However, Meng Shi was able to control the situation perfectly. There were very few people in the entertainment industry who could do this. As expected of a double best actress. While everyone was talking, someone saw Ning Shi, who had changed her clothes, from the corner of his eyes, and exclaimed one after another. At this moment, Ning Shi was wearing a fiery red tunic dress. There was a cinnabar dot on her forehead, and the corners of her eyes were long and narrow. Her brows were filled with wanton insolence, which formed a sharp contrast with Meng Shi's cool indifference. Wow! Yun Wang! Ning Shi's Cloud Phoenix is great. It feels so good. Ning Shi is quite suitable for such a villain role. Meng Chang'e in the world is very good. No wonder director would chose her. The two female leads in the drama, Lung Aoxue and Yun Huang, had completely opposite personalities and settings. One was the daughter of the leader of the Xuanji sect, the leader of the righteous path, while the other was a demoness from the Devil Palace. One was elegant and refined, while the other was treacherous and unpredictable. The love and hate triangle relationship between the two women was one of the biggest highlights of the novel. Of course, if the role of Yun Huang was so simple, Gu Qixing would not have specially found Ning Shi and claimed to have created it for her. Ning Shi's biggest feature was that Yun Huang had a dual personality due to her cultivation of demonic arts. Chapter 1351. One was sinister and cruel, while the other was innocent and kind. She was so kind that she wouldn't even step on an ant to death. This kind of situation often happened in the script. 1 second, Yun Huang was sinister and cruel, and the next second, she became innocent. When she acted up, she had to constantly switch between the two personalities in a short period of time. It was very demanding on the actors. Seeing Ning Shi come, Meng Shi glanced at her from head to toe. Her eyes were full of condescension, which was the disdainful look that people with real power usually use to look at idols. She was just an actress who had become famous overnight after acting in a melodramatic drama. She didn't even have an award on her. There were a lot of such people in the entertainment industry. Most of them were just taking advantage of their current popularity to make a fortune. In her eyes, such people were just carps crossing the river, not worth mentioning. The role of Yun Huang was not difficult for Ning Shi, so the audition and the photo shoot were soon over. When Ning Shi was talking to the director, she saw a black robe flash, not far away, and a man came over from the corner. It was Mo Chinxiu, who had chased her for thousands of miles. She touched her forehead speechlessly. Damn, he really chased her? What the hell did he want to do? Mo Chinxiu didn't show any special expression when he saw her. He just took the audition and photo shoot, which in the eyes of others was completely respectful and dedicated to his job. Only Ning Shi understood the real meaning behind his calm expression. Ning Shi, there's still a long way to go. Let's take our time. However, today was probably destined to be her disaster day. Just when Ning Shi thought things were bad enough, the director's assistant suddenly let a man in with a flattering smile. President Su, this way, please. We're taking the photo shoot. Ning Shi looked at the man behind the director's assistant, and a trace of despair flashed across her face, as if she had been struck by lightning. Suyin? Why was Suyin here? Damn, Jiang Mai, Mo Chinxiu, and Suyin. 3 X's in a drama. One more would be enough to make a table of mahjong. Did he think she wasn't messy enough? Seeing the man, Gu Qixing immediately went up to greet him warmly. President Su, why didn't you tell me in advance that you were coming? I could have prepared for it. I'm running some errands nearby today, so I dropped by to take a look. There's no need to mobilize so many people. Su Yin was still as elegant and gentle as ever. Guo Qixing led Su Yin to the audition room. Since you're here, Mr. Su, let me introduce you to the few leading actors we've decided on. Take a look and give them some guidance. Su Yin said humbly, I naturally trust director Guo's judgment. I'm just a layman. I just want to admire the elegance of the lead actors. I wouldn't dare to call myself a guide. Listening to Su Yan's words, Guo Qixing felt as if he was bathed in a spring breeze. Nowadays, all investors pretended to know what they didn't know and liked to get involved in everything. People like Su Yin were so comforting. Jiang Mai elbowed Ning Shi, who was still in a daze. He squinted at her and curled his lips. Hey, are you okay? As expected, true love was different. I was dumbfounded the moment I saw it. Ning Shi glared at Jiang Mai. True love my ass. Why is Su Yin the investor of this movie? This was simply illogical. Jiang Mai blinked. What's so strange about that? Do you know the total investment of our movie so far? 500 million. Chapter 1352. The cast and the script will definitely be a hit. Everyone wants a piece of the pie. It's normal for the Su family, which is preparing to enter the entertainment industry, to get involved. The Su family's investment isn't the highest. They are just one of the many investors. But Su Yin and Ning Shuoluo, why would he invest in her? Relationships are superficial. Profit comes first. Ning Shi calmed down and thought about it. It wasn't strange. Even if Ning Shu was the Su family's daughter-in-law, the Su family wouldn't just invest in Ning Shuoluo's movies. As Ning Shi thought about it, she suddenly had an ominous feeling. She hurriedly pulled Jiang Mai aside and asked, besides Su Yin, who else are the investors of this movie? Jiang Mai rolled his eyes at her. I don't have time to care about that. Who cares? I only know that Shengshi Entertainment has invested 100 million yuan. President Su, this is our lead actress, Meng Shi. This is the second male lead, Mo Chinxiu, and the second female lead, Li Yiqing. You're familiar with the first male lead and the second female lead, Jiang Mai and Ning Shi. Guo Qixing introduced them to Su Yin one by one. Everyone's attitude towards the investors was still quite polite, at least on the surface. Su Yin greeted them one by one. His eyes lingered on Ning Shi for a second, but he quickly looked away. Director Guo, I have a family dinner to attend. I have to go. Of course. President Su, if you have something to do, then go do it. I'll walk you out. When Guo Qixing came back after sending Su Yin off, Ning Shi immediately ran over and pulled Guo Qixing into a corner. Director Guo, who are the investors of this film? Many, more than a dozen. The Su family ranks third, Guo Qixing answered. More than a dozen. Ning, she scratched her head. Which one has the most investors? Shengshi Entertainment? Guo Qixing shook his head. No, your company ranks second. You must have heard of the first. Elon Ventures, which is very famous in the business circle of the capital. They invested 200 million yuan in one go. What? Elon Ventures? Isn't that Yunshin's company? After hearing the words Elon Ventures, Ning Shi felt like she had been struck by lightning from the 9 heavens. She felt like she was about to die from the heavenly tribulation. Guo Qixing continued, it seems that their boss is very interested in making a movie. By the way, their boss even made a cameo in the movie. Hearing this, Ning Shi's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Guest star? What role did he play? Guo Qixing looked at Ning Shi and said with a smile, this role has something to do with the role in your TV series. Ning Shi covered her heart, which was about to faint. Well, what is he playing? Director, don't keep me guessing. Let me be mentally prepared. Guo Qixing replied, he's acting as Yun Wang's father. Ning Shi. Yunshin, I'll fuck you. He was actually acting as her father. Fine, you're awesome. You're rich. You're my dad. At this moment, Ning Shi's heart was about to collapse. She had thought that the role in the movie would be easy for her, and that she could practice with Meng Shi, a capable actress, to improve her acting skills. It was perfect. She had never expected that it would become the most difficult obstacle in her acting career. Now, they really had a full table of mahjong. God, are you kidding me? Chapter 1353. Seeing that Ning she didn't look well, Guiqixing patted her on the shoulder and said in a confident tone, Ning Shi, don't worry. The role of the investor doesn't have many scenes, so it won't affect the plot much. Besides, most of the scenes are with you. You're good at acting, so you can help him. I'm sure there won't be any problem. A TV series was different from a movie. It didn't have such high requirements. It was harmless to play some minor roles. Ning, she was speechless. Director, can I stop acting? Guiqixing suddenly thought of something and said, Oh, by the way, Ning Shi, Kum Mingyu, whom you recommended to me before, has been confirmed. Ning Shi. What a blow to the heart. Guiqixing didn't know what was going on in Ning Shi's mind. He told her to do her best, and then left with a smile. Not long after Guiqixing left, Jiang Mai walked over and raised his eyebrows at her crazy expression. What's wrong with you? What did the director say to you? You look like you want to jump into the river of forgetfulness. Ning Shi walked away with her hands against the wall, murmuring, When God is about to give a great responsibility to a man, he must first torture his will, tire his muscles and bones, starve his skin, empty his body, and mess up his actions. In the Pearl Hotel, not far from the audition venue. In the private room, the Ning family and the Su family gathered together for the first time since the incident at the cocktail party. Uncle, Annie, the hotel just airlifted a batch of fresh seafood from Australia today. You can try it, Ning Shulua said carefully. On the other side of the round table, Mr. and Mrs. Su looked terrible. They weren't as enthusiastic as they used to be when they saw Ning Shulua. They were indifferent to Ning Shulua's flattery. When Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu saw this attitude, they were very unhappy. However, they were in the wrong, so they could only endure it. Ning Yaohua asked, Where's Su Yin? Why isn't he here yet? Ning Shua said hurriedly, Brother Yin is on his way. He should be here soon. Just as he finished speaking, the door of the private room was pushed open with a creak, and Su Yin walked in. Ning Shulua's eyes lit up when she saw who it was. She immediately stood up and greeted him with tears of grievance in her eyes. Brother Yin, Su Yin didn't have to think to know that his parents must have given Ning Shulua a hard time. He gave Ning Shulua a comforting look and held her hand as they sat down. Annie Su's face darkened when she saw how protective her son was. Su Yin, come and sit here. Ning Shulua's face turned pale. Su Yin said helplessly, Mom, didn't we agree before we came? Judging from Su Yan's tone, he must have done some psychological work for his parents before coming here, but it was hard to say how much they would listen to him. Mama Su's face darkened. I can't take this lying down. Look at what they've done. And you, since you already knew, why didn't you tell us? Papa Su was also displeased. Su Yin, you've really gone too far with such a serious matter. Su Hongwang's words sounded like he was blaming Su Yin, but he was looking at Ning Shulua. He was clearly blaming Ning Shulua for seducing Su Yin. Actually, if one thought about it carefully, it was completely understandable why Su Hongwang and Zheng Minjun would react so strongly. Chapter 1354. When they found out that Su Yin fell in love with a country girl when he was recuperating in the countryside, they spent a lot of effort to break up their relationship. They even said a lot of harsh words to Ning Shi in private, saying that she was not worthy of Su Yin, so that she would know her place. Later, Ning Ziyuan, the old master of the Ning family, asked Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu to adopt Ning Shi as his daughter. An adopted daughter, even if she was the adopted daughter of the Ning family, was not worthy of the Su family. Later, when they learned that Su Yin had fallen in love with Ning Shuo, the real lady of the Ning family, they were very happy and thought that they finally married a real golden phoenix. Who knew? Everything was turned upside down in the end. Ning Shi was the real lady of the Ning family, while Ning Shuo was the pheasant. They had been kept in the dark for 5 years. How could they accept it? Uncle, Annie, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to hide it from you. Ning Shuo burst into tears. Su Yin held Ning Shuo's hand and frowned. Dad, Mom, I've told you not to say it. It has nothing to do with her. Zhuang Lingyu couldn't help but say anxiously, in law, think about it. We found Ning Shi back then. Why didn't we announce Ning Shi's identity? We would rather let our own daughter be wronged, but we still love Shuo Luo as the apple of our eye. It's because we've been together for so many years. We treat Shuo Luo as our own daughter, and we can't bear to see her get hurt. But we don't have any feelings for Ning Shi, who we've never been with. It's our fault that we didn't tell you that. But Shuo Luo grew up in the Ning family. Her father and I hired a famous teacher to teach her. Even when we took Ning Shi back, we didn't let her suffer. In our hearts, Shuo Luo is our own daughter, even closer to us than our own. We're ready to treat her as our own daughter for the rest of our lives, so it makes no difference whether we tell her or not. At this point, Zhuang Lingyu said in a serious tone, You know, Shuo Luo is kind and filial. She is also very outstanding. She has just been nominated for the Best Actress Award, and her clothing company is doing well. How many ladies in the circle can compare with her? I dare say that she doesn't deserve Su Yin or the Su family at all. Hearing this, Mother Su looked at the sad Ning Shuo Luo, and her frown eased a little. I admit that Shuo Luo is very good. Otherwise, I wouldn't like her so much. But for a family like ours, the most important thing is to be well-matched and legitimate. Mrs. Ning, I believe you know this better than I do, right? Su Qingsong's father nodded and said, To put it bluntly, even if you make up a story, it can't be true. If he's not your biological son, then he's not your biological son. Mama Su's words were even more direct. You may be saying nice things now, but what if you still favor your own children in the future? One was a biological daughter, and the other was an adopted daughter. Was there a need to say who would inherit the Ning family in the future? If the Su family abandoned their daughter and married a wild chicken who had nothing, not only would they be ridiculed by others, but they would also get nothing in the end. Wouldn't that be a big loss for them? Chapter 1355. Su Hongguang's mother cared about this more than her father did. After all, Su Hongguang still had an illegitimate son, Su Sun, who was always eyeing Su Yan's position. She still hoped that Su Yan would have a good marriage and help him in the future. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been so against Su Yan and Ning Shi. Now she was full of complaints about the Ning family's concealment. No wonder old Master Ning only gave Ning Shuo money and didn't give her any shares. Instead, he gave his adopted daughter Ning Shi 10%. Now, everything made sense. After all, it was still about the inheritance in the end. Ning Yaohua could only take out his trump card. He took out a document from his briefcase and handed it to Su Hongguang. Su Hongguang looked at Ning Yaohua with a straight face and then took it suspiciously. The moment they saw the share transfer document, Su Hongguang and Zheng Minjun looked at each other in surprise. It seemed that they didn't expect Ning Yaohua to go this far. Ning Yaohua actually gave 15% of his shares to Ning Shuo, who was not related to him by blood. So, do you believe my words and sincerity? Ning Yaohua asked. Seeing this share transfer agreement, Su Hongguang's complexion did indeed improve quite a bit. He carefully looked at the document again and again. After confirming that there were no problems, he returned it to Ning Yaohua. Old Ning, toward Shuo Luo. You indeed have a heart full of love and care. I have nothing to say about that. Hearing Su Hongguang's words, Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu looked at each other and immediately felt relieved. Ning Shuo also calmed down. At the same time, her eyes were full of malice. None of these old guys were easy to fool. They all wanted to see the real deal. Fortunately, she had asked Ning Yaohua to transfer his shares. Otherwise, her marriage with Su Yin would really be ruined. Su Hongguang's mother glanced at the document and saw that Ning Yaohua had given 15% of his shares to Ning Shuo. Her attitude immediately improved. She sighed and said, We are just thinking about the children's future. I hope you don't mind. Although Zhuang Lingyu's heart was filled with ridicule, her words were still polite. We are all parents. we naturally understand. We only hope that these two children can be well. As long as Shui Luo can be happy, I will be satisfied. Ning Yaohua also took the opportunity to talk about their marriage. Shui Luo and Su Yin have been dating for 5 years. It's time for them to get married. Once the two children are settled, I'll have one less thing to worry about. Zhuang Lingyu said, our Shui Luo's clothing company has just signed a cooperation contract with a luxury brand in the country. She's probably quite free during this period of time. If we wait any longer, I don't think we'll be able to make time. Annie Su thought for a moment. The two children's relationships and careers are very stable. This marriage can't be delayed any longer. Ning Yaohua looked at Su Yin and Ning Shuo. What do you think? Ning Shuo lowered her head shyly. I'll listen to my parents. Su Yin seemed to be in a trance and did not speak for a while. Mama Su looked at her son. What about you, Su Yin? Su Yin then came back to his senses. I have no objections either. In the end, Su Hongguang made a decision. Then I'll ask Master Long to test a good day tomorrow. Chapter 1356. The rest of them nodded in agreement with Su Hongguang's words. Mother Su recalled that Master Long Fanning had given Ning Shuo her husband brings good fortune and felt much better. After that, the two families began to talk about the wedding and roughly confirmed the relevant procedures as if nothing had happened before. Ning Shuo let out a long sigh of relief. Sure enough, what was hers was still hers after all. After dinner, the two families were already very happy. They warmly greeted each other and said their goodbyes. The parents of both sides left, while Ning Shuo and Su Yin left alone. The wedding was imminent, so the parents naturally understood that the young couple wanted to talk privately. Su Hongguang and Zheng Minjun walked to the parking lot together, talking as they walked. Zheng Minjun was very satisfied with the Ning family's attitude that night, but she still felt a little uncomfortable. She sighed and said to her husband, "Sigh, she was born to a village woman after all. She does look good now, but I'm afraid that after a long time, her true nature will be exposed." Su Hongguang cared more about benefits, so he did not think too much about it. The Ning family's words are not unreasonable. Shuo was raised as a rich young lady since she was young. She received a good education and influence, so she won't be bad. On the other hand, Ning Shi, who grew up in the village, is really vulgar. Even if she turns around in the future, I'm afraid she won't be able to. Have you forgotten what she did before? Also, when she came to Grandfather Ning's birthday banquet last time, she actually wore a disguise. Otherwise, why do you think that old fox Ning Yaohua would rather have an adopted daughter than his biological daughter? Listening to her husband's words, Zheng Minjun nodded. That makes sense. As the two were talking, they saw two girls walking toward them. It was Ning Shi and her assistant, Xiao Tao. At this moment, Ning Shi was wearing a set of custom-made Chinese Zealing high-grade high heels. Her face was painted with the right amount of makeup. It was not an exaggeration to say that she was a heavenly beauty. Most importantly, there was not the slightest hint of frivolity between her brows. Instead, there was a natural elegance. Xiao Tao, remember to send me the latest schedule later. I need it urgently. Ning Shi was talking to Xiao Tao, who was next to her. After she finished speaking, she looked up and saw the two people opposite her. She couldn't help but be stunned. Su Hongguang and Zheng Minjun. Ning Shi did not expect to meet Su Yan's parents here, especially Su Yan's mother, Zheng Minjun. She could not help but recognize her. After all, she had done everything to separate Su Yin and Su Yin. At that time, she was still a weak and naive girl who could be easily bullied. Zheng Minjun's sharp words had ruthlessly trampled her into the dust. Her originally innocent and heartless character had also undergone an earth-shattering change at that time. "Hey, Ning Shi, wait." Director Guo Qixing's voice came from behind. When Su Hongguang and Zheng Minjun saw Ning Shi, they did not dare to recognize her. When they heard Guo Qixing call her Ning Shi, they immediately looked at each other and their expressions changed. How could it be? This beautiful and elegant girl in front of them was actually Ning Shi? After Ning, she returned to the country. They had only seen her once at grandfather Ning's birthday banquet. They knew that Ning she had entered the entertainment industry, but they had never paid attention to it. Chapter 1357. The moment she saw Ning Shi, Zheng Minjun thought about the girl's temperament. Dragons give birth to dragons and phoenixes give birth to phoenixes. The son of a mouse can dig holes. She was indeed the daughter of a famous family. Even though she had stayed in the countryside for 18 years, the things in her bones would one day see the light of day. Zhuang Lingyu was Zhuang Zhongren's daughter, and Ning, she was Zhuang Zhongren's niece. The blood of the Zhuang family flowed in her. Zheng Minjun felt even more upset. Ning she quickly recovered from the surprise of seeing Su Hongguang and Zheng Minjun. She turned to look at Guo Qixing suspiciously. "Director Guo? What's the matter?" Guo Qixing panted. "Why did you leave in such a hurry? I need your help with something." Ning she laughed. "What's so important that Director Guo came after me personally?" Guo Qixing coughed lightly. He looked a little unnatural. He fished around in his pocket and took out a pink notebook full of hearts. "Sign this for me." Ning she almost burst out laughing. "No way, Director Guo. I didn't expect you to be my crazy fan." Guo Qixing glared at her angrily. "What nonsense are you talking about? This belongs to my daughter. Sign it now. The little girl has urged me so many times. If I can't get it done today, I don't know how she'll torture me when I get back." Guo Qixing's daughter? Oh, I see. Ning she took the notebook and flipped through it. She found that the notebook was full of her photos. She was a real fangirl. Ning she's heart warmed. She signed her name seriously and even wrote a few words of encouragement. Guo Qixing took the notebook back. He looked as if Ning she had stolen his good cabbage. "You'd better restrain yourself. You've stolen the hearts of so many girls." Ning she laughed. "Director Guo, you're just jealous." Guo Qixing glared at her and left. On the other side, Su Hongguang and Zheng Minjun were driving home. Both of them were a little depressed. They had tried to comfort each other and finally convinced themselves that Ning Shui was 100 times better than Ning Shi. Who knew that just one look at Ning she would make them waver? Peach Blossom Dock. After returning home, Ning she took off her shoes and asked Steamed Bun to prepare a bath for her. The first thing she did was to sink herself into the bathtub and take a hot bath. When her body was enveloped by the warm current, her nerves that were so taut that they were about to explode finally relaxed a little. The restlessness in his body was clamoring crazily, wanting to rush out of the limits of rationality. It was obvious that the small torment last night was not enough for her to vent her stress. Ning she kept taking deep breaths and barely managed to dispel the thought of going out to court death. Ding. Her phone rang. Xiao Tao must have sent her the itinerary. Ning she wiped her hands and took out her phone. Sure enough, it was from Xiao Tao. Ning she clicked open the itinerary sent by Xiao Tao in the mailbox and found that the recent schedule was quite full, especially in the past 2 days. The advertising video of Lu's group had been made, and she had to cooperate with the company to attend various publicity activities. After being busy for a few days, Lin Jiji gave her time on Saturday and weekend so that she could rest. After that, the crew would start working. Therefore, only those 2 days would be suitable. Chapter 1358. Ning she stared at the 2 red dates for a long time. Finally, she sent a text message to Lu Tingxiao. "Honey, let's have a date this weekend?" If possible, she hoped that there would be more time. What she was most worried about was that if there was an accident, she would lose control of herself and affect her work. But now that the new movie was about to start, she could only solve this matter as soon as possible. If it was delayed, she would not be able to concentrate on other things. Not long after the text message was sent, Lu Tingxiao called back. "I've seen the message. I can do it." "Okay, it's settled then," Ning she said cheerfully, but in fact, the moment she heard Lu Tingxiao's voice, she suddenly had the idea of retreating, tempting her to escape and forget. "Are you done? I just finished a meeting. Shall I go to see you?" Lu Tingxiao said. Ning she's heart suddenly skipped a beat. "I don't I, I haven't finished yet. It may be very late. Okay, don't be too tired. Rest early after you're done. Okay, I'm hanging up. Moi. Ningxi hung up the phone, looking relieved. Damn it, she was already so shaken just by hearing Lu Tingxiao's voice. If she saw him in person, she would be thrown into the Maria Trench. No, she had to quickly stabilize their morale before the weekend and strive to say everything in one breath. The next day, Ningxi got up early in the morning and rushed to Lu Enterprises. As soon as she parked the car, a familiar black Maybach stopped opposite. Lu Jingli's excited head popped out of the passenger window. Hey, little Cece, what a coincidence. You're here. Before he finished speaking, Ningxi had already disappeared like a rabbit. Lu Jingli scratched his head and looked at his brother with a confused face. Didn't little Cece see us? That's not right. It was obvious that he had seen it. Their eyes met. Then why did she run away faster than a rabbit when she saw us? There was no one else nearby. Lu Tingxiao looked in the direction of the girl's departure and frowned imperceptibly. In the elevator, Ningxi patted her chest as if she had just survived a disaster. That was close. She had almost used up all the blue bars she had accumulated overnight. Oh, damn it. She really wanted to run over and throw herself into her sweetheart's arms. No, I have to endure it. She did not want to use any excuse to hide anything from him anymore, even if the price was unbearable walking into the advertising department. Ningxi was the first to arrive. Brother Shi, you're here. You're so early. Ying greeted him warmly. Director Yi, good morning. Oh, the others are not here yet? Then I'll take a nap first. Can I? Of course you can. Has Brother Shi been too busy with work recently? Don't tire yourself out. You rest, it's fine. The others will probably have to wait for a while. I'll call you when someone comes. Ying said, thanks. Ningxi sat on the sofa and leaned against it for a while before the others arrived. She couldn't sleep at all last night because she was struggling with a manic factor in her body. In the past, the way she vented her stress was through all kinds of death-seeking extreme sports or dangerous missions. Soon, the others arrived one after another. Ningxi was resting with her eyes closed when she heard a gloomy voice. How is it? Have you thought about what I said last time? Chapter 1359. Ningxi didn't even open her eyes. Her tone was even more creepy than his. I'm not in a good mood recently. I advise you to stay away from me. The girl's cold tone sent a chill down Mo Chinchio's spine. He snorted and said sarcastically, Oh, not in a good mood? What? Did you break up with your man? At this moment, the word break up was like a spark that ignited a barrel of explosives for Ningxi. The next second, with a bang, Mo Chinchio had been thrown over the shoulder by Ningxi and fell to the floor. The girl stared at him condescendingly, the coldness in her eyes making his hair stand on end. This sudden scene left everyone in the office dumbfounded. Qin Ran, Han Yunxing, Luo Fan, and Li Likai all looked at each other in confusion. Damn it, why are these two fighting again? It seemed that Ningxi started the fight this time. In the corner, Jiang Mai shook his head and sighed, looking at Mo Chinchio sympathetically. Tut-tut, he didn't know what had happened to that wicked girl. She was in a terrible state recently. Even he didn't dare to get within 3 feet of her. Mo Chinchio running to her at this time was like sending himself to die. Fuck. Mo Chinchio was the most confused. He didn't expect that Ningxi would suddenly attack him. He cursed and turned around to attack. Ningxi's usual fighting strength was enough to crush Mo Chinchio. Now she was even more ferocious than him. Then, Mo Chinchio was undoubtedly beaten by Ningxi. Moreover, Ningxi didn't give him any face this time. She pressed on Mo Chinchio and beat him until he had no chance to fight back. Only her last bit of reason stopped her from hitting his face. Qin Ran touched his chin and clicked his tongue. It's so exciting to watch Ningxi fight. Li Likai, who had been cheated on by Mo Chinchio, watched with great interest. He almost couldn't help but record it with his phone so that he could watch it every day before going to bed. It was so satisfying. Brother Shi, Chinchio, don't hit me. What's going on? Ying said anxiously. She was also speechless. Why were her two male gods fighting again? What kind of fetish was this? Fortunately, after what happened last time, she was much calmer this time. In addition, Ningxi didn't embarrass her, so she felt that Ningxi would have a sense of propriety, so she didn't worry too much. In the end, Ningxi pressed one knee on Mo Chinchio's back and panted slightly. She leaned over to the man's ear and said in a warning tone, "How is it? Do you want to continue?" Mo Chinchio felt the girl's slender leg pressing against his back. The girl's breath was slightly breathless and warm behind his ear. His heart was beating incredibly fast. That was the long-lost feeling of being moved, the feeling of being moved by a woman. Fuck. That was fucked up. Just once or twice, and he actually felt the thrashing? Why didn't he know that he was a masochist? Let go. Mo Chinchio was frightened by his own thoughts. He struggled to break free from Ningxi and ran far away. However, his gaze on Ningxi in the dark was clearly burning. Jiang Mai looked at Ningxi and then at Mo Chinchio, who was being beaten. Alas, Ningxi now had someone else to beat. He finally didn't have to be beaten, but why did he feel inexplicably lonely? Chapter 1360. With Ningxi's warning, Mo Chinchio finally calmed down. They first gathered in the advertising department for a meeting, and then went to Jade Villa together to hold a press conference for the commercial 7 days. Ying had deliberately chosen a remote and secluded place to hold the press conference. However, when they arrived, the venue was still crowded. Even though the hotel had prepared for a long time in advance, they still couldn't resist the enthusiasm of the fans. In the end, even the police had to come. Among the 7 of them, the fans of any one of them were amazing enough, not to mention that there were 7 of them together. They almost got into a fight. What was even funnier was that many fans even switched sides on the spot and became fans of other teams. As for those Fujoshis who liked to pair up, looking at the 7 male gods in front of them, they had already made up countless combinations in their hearts. Don't be too happy. Ningxi was already in a bad state. In such a chaotic situation, she was even more dizzy. She forced a smile to greet her fans. Walking into the club, Ningxi didn't notice that there was a staircase in front of her. When she went up, she accidentally tripped. The next second, before she lost control of her body, 2 hands reached out to her at the same time. Jiang Mai's face was dark, and he looked like a worried old woman. "What are you thinking about? Can't you watch the road? Do you want to kiss the earth for your fans?" Mo Chinchio didn't seem to expect that he would reach out his hand. When he came to himself, he immediately took his hand back and kept a straight face, as if nothing had happened. It was just a short episode, but suddenly there was a burst of screams that almost broke through the sky. "Ah! Muyi spoils brother, she's so much. Brother, she is the best. Brother, she is the best." Among the screams, several of Mo Chinchio's fans also said excitedly, "But brother, she is also a good match for our Chinchin. Chunchin is so proud in front of brother she. So cute." However, as soon as they spoke, they were scolded by Jiang Mai and Ningxi's fans. "Damn, brother she and Mo Chinchio? What kind of cult is this? Get out. Our Muyi and Ning, she are the official couple. Okay? From the world to the age of 18 to the 9th heaven. No matter in men's or women's clothing." Mo Chinchio couldn't help taking another look at Jiang Mai when he heard the fans' discussion. Although it was normal for them to have a good relationship since they had worked in the same company on many shows, he had a feeling that their relationship wasn't normal. Was Ning, Shi's boyfriend, really Jiang Mai? These two are secretly dating in secret? Ha! Tang Shi, I thought you had high standards, but it turns out you're just a chew. Jiang Mai, who didn't know that he had been regarded as a rival in love, suddenly sneezed. He scratched his head and mumbled, "Who's talking bad about me?" The response of the commercial was as hot as expected, and the press conference ended smoothly. A busy day passed quickly. Ningxi had just driven home when her cell phone rang. It was Lu Jingli. "Hey, what's up?" Ningxi's tone was lazy, revealing a trace of dispiritedness. "Brother Shi, I'm at my brother's place. My friend, gave me Australian lobsters and king crabs. I moved them here. Come and cook for me. It's a waste to leave them to the chef at home. Hearing that Lu Jingli wanted her to go to Lu Tingxiao's place, Ningxi immediately straightened her back. Not today. I have to read the script. Then I'd better ask the chef to cook for you. Just come and eat. I'm busy. Chapter 1361. Lu Jingli hung up the phone with a disappointed look and looked at his brother, who was sitting on the sofa. Little Cece didn't come because she said she wanted to read the script. But there should be time for a meal, right? Well, am I being too sensitive? Why do I feel that little Cece didn't want to come on purpose? Lu Tingxiao did not speak, but his eyes darkened. Lu Jingli touched his chin and muttered, I always feel that there seems to be something wrong with little Cece. Something was wrong since this morning. It gave me a feeling that she was very afraid of you, that she was avoiding you, and that she felt very guilty when she saw you. In a sense, Lu Jingli was really too insightful. Ningxi's conflicted feelings towards Lu Tingxiao were summed up by him very well. After being pointed out by Lu Jingli, Lu Tingxiao's expression became even more sullen. Lu Jingli saw that his brother's expression was not good and asked tentatively, Brother, did you have a conflict with little Cece? Lu Tingxiao's answer was to look at him coldly. Lu Jingli immediately coughed lightly. Okay, I was wrong. How could you two dog food producers have a conflict? Since there is no conflict, what is going on? Brother, you have to explain it to me. Otherwise, I can't help you analyze it. I'm not talking nonsense, but this kind of thing can be big or small. I really feel that there is something wrong with little Cece. After a long silence, Lu Tingxiao said, Her recent state is indeed not very normal. Since the day before yesterday when she got drunk in the bar, Lu Tingxiao pinched between his eyebrows and told him about Ningxi's situation in the past 2 days in great detail. He told it not only for Lu Jingli, but also for himself. Ningxi's recent state really worried him. Lu Jingli touched his chin. Well, let me sum it up. Little Cece suddenly got drunk in the bar, raced, and fought with the hooligans. She seemed to be in a very bad mood. Then, since last night, she has been showing signs of avoiding you. The most important thing is that she suddenly asked you out on a date this weekend and said that she has something to tell you. At this point, Lu Jingli seemed to have thought of something. Suddenly, his expression changed, as if the sky was about to fall. He looked at his brother and blurted out, Fuck! It's over. Brother, could it be that little Cece wants to break up with you? As soon as he finished speaking, the temperature in the room plummeted at a speed that could be felt. Only then did Lu Jingli realize that he had said something outrageous. He hurriedly covered his mouth, looking in horror at his brother, who had instantly switched to the dark element he hadn't seen in a long time. Oh my God! It was too scary. He was just making a random guess, but his brother's expression was as if he was going to slaughter everyone in the city. If little Cece really broke up with him, it would be terrible. However, from the looks of it, all the signs pointed to this ominous outcome. Little Cece was tired of it and wanted to break up with him, but she felt that her brother was too nice to her. She felt sorry for him, so she struggled so much and found it hard to break up with him. However, feelings could not be forced, so she promised to make it clear to her brother this weekend. In just a few seconds, Lu Jingli had already imagined the entire plot. It's over, it's over. What should I do? Lu Jingli decided to calm his brother down first. He quickly coughed and carefully pacified him. Brother, the hole in my brain is too big. I've watched too many soap operas at 8 o'clock recently. How could little Cece break up with you? Chapter 1362. The next day, the entire Lu group once again felt the fear of being dominated by the big demon king, and Lu Jingli was surrounded by a large group of people for the first time in a long time. Second young master, what the hell is going on? Why is Boss Lu a little scary today? What do you mean a little? It's too fucking scary. I don't even dare to look at him. When our eyes met, I thought I was going to hell the next second. Second young master, did the boss quarrel with the lady boss? You have to comfort him. Isn't the relationship between the boss and the lady boss very good? Why did they quarrel out of nowhere? If the boss doesn't know how to comfort him, you have to help him. Second young master. Yes, yes, yes. We must definitely coax our lady boss. The boss will only be happy if the lady boss is happy. Only when the boss is in a good mood can we have a good life. Everyone in the company was smart. Now they could already understand the changes in their boss's mood. In short, it must have something to do with the lady boss. Sigh. It was a pity that after the rumor that Su Yimo was the lady boss was dispelled, none of them knew who the lady boss was. They couldn't help even if they wanted to please her. So they could only urge Lu Jingli. Lu Jingli was surrounded by a group of people and was overwhelmed. Damn, he was a single dog, and he had to worry about the relationship of this young couple all day. Was it easy for him? However, this matter was indeed very serious. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was extremely urgent. After all, the day after tomorrow was the weekend. He had to quickly find a way to find out what little Cece was thinking. After work, Lu Jingli directly got Ningxi's schedule from Lin Jiji and then went to the Imperial Hotel. Ningxi had a dinner party today. He would just wait nearby. Otherwise, she would always find all kinds of excuses to avoid him. Lu Jingli thought so, then squatted in the corner of the hotel lobby and covered his face with a newspaper. Time passed bit by bit. Ningxi did not appear for a long time. Lu Jingli fell asleep halfway through waiting. When he woke up, it was almost 12 o'clock at night. He asked the waiter, and sure enough, the person in Ningxi's private room had already left. Lu Jingli miserably missed his target, so he could only go back to the Peach Blossom Cove. When he reached the corner of the corridor, he unexpectedly heard a familiar voice. It seemed to be Ning Shuelo, and she even mentioned Ningxi. Thus, Lu Jingli subconsciously took a step back and hid in the empty room behind him. Shueluo, are you all right? You've drunk too much. It's fine. I'm getting married. I'm happy. Shueluo, be careful. Sister Chong, tell me the truth. Do you regret letting go of Ningxi, the money tree? I didn't. Let me tell you. Ningxi, that bitch, she's doomed to never escape from me. No matter how high she jumps, I can pull her down. Do you believe me? Yes, 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 I believe you. Chong Li's tone was clearly very perfunctory. Ning Shuelua seemed to be unhappy with Chong Li's perfunctory tone. She said drunkenly, You don't believe me? Let me tell you. Ningxi, that bitch. 18 years old. 18 years old. She got pregnant by a man and gave birth to that child. Do you know that? Huh? What? Chong Li was really shocked. Then, what about that child? Dead? That bastard died as soon as he was born. Tut. She got off lightly. If he were still alive, how wonderful it would be. Chapter 1363. After Ning Shuo and Chong Li left, Lu Jingli came out from the dark. His face was full of surprise. This time, he was not looking for Ning Shi. Instead, he hurried back to the palace. Brother, 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 I just happened to hear an important piece of news. Lu Jingli finally found Lu Tingxiao in the study after searching for a long time. He was panting as he leaned against the door frame. There was only a dim light in the study. Lu Tingxiao was sitting with his back facing him, looking at the night sky outside the window. Even though Lu Jingli could not see his face, he was enveloped by a gloomy aura from head to toe as soon as he stepped into the study. The aura was so thick that it was almost suffocating. It clearly showed that the master of the study was in an extremely dangerous state. His brother's state was even more terrifying than he had imagined. Lu Jingli forced himself to calm down and quickly reported, Brother, I was going to look for little Cece just now, but I accidentally bumped into Ning Shuo and her assistant. I heard their conversation. Ning Shuo said to her assistant. She said that little Cece was pregnant at the age of 18. She even gave birth to a stillborn baby. I saw that she was drunk. I don't know if she's telling the truth or not. After Lu Jingli finished speaking, the study returned to the dead silence of a tomb. After a long time, Lu Tingxiao's faint voice was heard. So, What if it's true? So, what if it's false? In the face of such explosive news about his girlfriend, and for a man, Lu Tingxiao didn't show the slightest bit of surprise. There was only indifference. Lu Jingli could not answer Lu Tingxiao's reaction. Well, whether it was true or not, it made no difference to his brother. Anyway, he would not care. What I mean is, whether it's true or not, I'm afraid that Ning Shuo is going to do something to harm little Cici again. Should I look into it and take precautions? Lu Jingli suggested. Lu Tingxiao finally regained some of his human aura when he heard that it was related to his wife's safety. He raised his hand to show his agreement. Oh, okay, I'll check it out later. As Lu Jingli spoke, he looked at his brother worriedly. Brother, don't worry too much. It's all my fault for talking nonsense. Little Cici likes you so much, she definitely won't break up with you. What if it is? Lu Tingxiao's gaze slowly landed on Lu Jingli. If she really didn't want him anymore, what should he do? What should he use to keep her? He had to admit that this time, Lu Jingli's speculation was very likely. Ning Shi's performance was getting closer and closer to that result. No matter why she did it, she didn't want to do it, Lu Jingli panicked. Then his eyes lit up, and he hurriedly said, even if you don't have confidence in yourself, you should have confidence in Lil Bao. Why don't you bring Xiao Bao along when you go on a date? Let's see how Xiao Cici can say the word break up. Lu Tingxiao's face was blank. She said it was just the two of us, Lu Jingli. And he specifically said that Xiao Bao was not to be brought along? Damn it, this is going to be a big problem. Little Cici, you're such a heartless man. Chapter 1364. Saturday morning. Little Bun was holding a painting in his hands. He had just finished Elder Song's painting lesson when Lu Jingli hugged him while crying. Bun, sob, sob, sob. Your mom is going to break up with your dad. Hurry up and go persuade her. Only you can persuade your mom now. Little Bun immediately pulled a long face and struggled out of Lu Jingli's arms in disgust. Then, he meticulously tidied up his wrinkled clothes. Hey, baby, don't ignore me. I'm telling the truth. I really have no choice but to come to you for help. Our family is counting on you. Ning Shi's whereabouts were uncertain these days. Lu Jingli had already failed to find her countless times, so he had no choice but to look for Little Bun. Little Bun looked at Lu Jingli with a cold expression. Mom wants to break up with him. Until now, Little Bun still called Lu Tingxiao him and had never called him dad. Yes. Tomorrow. Your mom has been avoiding your dad recently. She even asked your dad to meet tomorrow night, because she has something to say. Isn't that a breakup? Lu Jingli hurriedly said. Little Bun looked at Lu Jingli calmly. Lu Jingli looked at Little Bun nervously. The adult and child looked at each other. After a while, Little Bun expressionlessly said, Second uncle. Lu Jingli, yes. Little Bao, your imagination is too big. Lu Jingli. Damn, how dare you look down on my imagination? How is my imagination big? Bun, second uncle's deduction is clearly rigorous and reasonable. If you don't believe me, I'll regret it. Lu Jingli wailed. Little Bun pursed his lips and looked worried about his IQ. Second uncle, no wonder you still don't have a girlfriend. Lu Jingli, was he being looked down on just now? Why did he feel that ever since Little Bao opened his mouth, half of it was calling him mom, and the other half was insulting him? Why? Today, all the servants in the Ning family mansion were unusually busy. Since Ning Shuo's wedding was imminent, the entire old house had begun to decorate. The inside and outside of the house were decorated with lanterns and streamers. Outside the gate, a young man was pacing back and forth. The young man was dressed in plain clothes, holding a large snakeskin bag in his hand, and carrying a large black backpack on his back. He looked delicate and shy. The servant who was decorating the courtyard noticed the young man outside and walked over suspiciously. Who are you looking for? The young man who was pacing back and forth was startled when he was suddenly called. He quickly asked nervously, Excuse me, Tang. No, Ning Shuo lives here? The servant looked him up and down. "Why are you looking for our miss?" After knowing that he had not gone to the wrong place, the young man heaved a sigh of relief and immediately said excitedly, "Can you help me call her? I'm her little brother." "Little brother?" The servant sized up the shabbily dressed youth in front of her with a look of disdain. She said warily, "You must be mistaken. Our young miss is an only child and doesn't have any younger brothers. You'd better not recognize me as your relative." "I really am. Please help me pass a message that Tang Nua is looking for her. If you go and tell her, she will definitely know me." Hearing his confident tone, the servant thought about it and went, "Wait here, in Ning Shuloa's bedroom upstairs." Knock, knock, knock. The servant knocked on the door. "Come in." Chapter 1365. In the bedroom, Ning Shuloa was looking at her makeup with satisfaction. Her poor and crude biological parents might not have a good point, but at least they gave her a good face. "Miss, there's a young man outside. He says he's your brother. Do you want to invite him in?" The servant asked. "My brother?" "Yes, he says his name is Tang Nua." As soon as the servant finished speaking, there was a loud bang. The bottle of skincare products in Ning Shuloa's hand fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. The servant was shocked. "Miss, are you all right? Are you hurt?" Ning Shuloa's face was gloomy. She stood up and walked to the window. She pulled the curtains open and looked downstairs. Sure enough, there was a rustic young man standing at the entrance of the courtyard. Damn it, what was this kid doing here? And at such a sensitive time? It wasn't easy for her to suppress the rumors outside. And her marriage with the Su family was also nearing. Were they trying to go against her? Ning Shuo's face was filled with displeasure as she snapped. "Have you been working for the Ning family for nothing? I don't have a brother. He's obviously a distant relative who wants to take advantage of him. Why aren't you chasing him away? Do you need me to teach you something so trivial?" Yes, yes, yes. I'll go now." "Miss, please don't be angry." The servant quickly retreated after being scolded. Outside the courtyard. "Hurry up and leave. Where did this poor beggar come from? How dare he claim to be related to our miss?" "I'm not." "What are you not?" "Miss already said she doesn't know you. If you don't leave, I'll let the dog out." Amidst the unpleasant sounds of driving him away, the young man could only dejectedly leave, looking back 3 times with every step. The sky was gray and the road was busy. There were dazzling new things in this bustling city, but not even a speck of dust belonged to him. It did not belong to someone like him. He should not have come. He should not have come, but he really had no other choice. Ning Shuo's decision to shut the door and expel him had cut off the youth's only hope. It started raining at some point, and the young man was soon drenched. He mechanically and numbly dragged the heavy things towards the shelter of a small store not far away. She was driving aimlessly on the streets of the capital, when she suddenly saw a familiar figure on the side of the road. She almost thought that she was hallucinating because of her poor state. Tang Nua? How could Xiao Nua appear in the capital with a shrill squeak? Ningxi hurriedly stopped at the door of a store not far away. "Don't block my way and disturb my business." At that moment, the owner of the store was shouting at the young man as if he was scolding a beggar. A trace of humiliation appeared on the young man's face. Without saying a word, he carried the things and walked back into the curtain of rain. Xiao Nua. At this moment, a familiar voice that almost made him cry came from behind. The young man stiffened his back, turned around with a face full of disbelief, and stared blankly at the woman in front of him. His pale lips trembled, and after a long while he spat out a word. "Sister." Tang Nua had been in contact with Ning Shi, and often used his mobile phone to pay attention to Ning Shi's relevant information. But at this moment when he saw Ning Shi, he was still shocked. She had changed so much, but the intimate look in her eyes was still the same as before. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.